before your clock strikes. Here, it's always Halloween. And I'm always your haunted host, Luce Tomlin Brenner. Welcome to Small Frights Friday. On these very special episodes, I like to share a curated selection of calls from the All Hallows Hotline and letters from the EEEEEK mailbag. Today's episode is sponsored by David, one of our luminous Luceo lanterns. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast, David. If other lanterns out there would like to sponsor an episode and have it all to yourself, you can do so by donating $30 or more to the podcast via the tip jar, which is linked in the show notes and on our Instagram link tree. If you do, tell me your favorite thing about Halloween or a topic that you want to learn more about, because I want to know a little bit more about the wonderful people who are leaving us these really fantastic, supportive one-time donations. Today's show is also made possible by the frighteningly wonderful Patreon Ghoul Gang. I want to welcome 4 new patrons to the Ghoul Gang this week. Thank you so much, Kelp Noodles, Ethan Black, Melissa, and Laura Zawistowski, who I have to add is one of my oldest and dearest friends in real life. Laura and I have lots of incredible Halloween memories together, including turning my parents' front yard into a scare zone for trick-or-treaters one year. I remember we each kept track. It was me and Laura and our other friend Melissa, not the Melissa who's new to the Ghoul Gang, another Melissa, and maybe my friend Katie Parrish. And we were each keeping track of how many kids we made scream and how many kids we made cry. So we each had our own individual tallies and, whoever won Halloween that night, of course. Then our senior year of high school, we went out with our boyfriends to rent a horror movie, and we got The Evil Dead, which was the first time I had seen it, and it scared me so much that I spent most of the night with a pillow over my face, which is extra amusing now because it's one of my favorite movies. But at the time, I had never seen a movie so scary. We also threw and attended many incredible Halloween parties in college. One specific and fond memory I have that you guys might get a little giggle out of was when I mooned a bunch of party crashers who made derisive remarks about my derriere, and Laura led the whole party in a cheer as they left. It was one of my most victorious party/Halloween moments. I also dressed up as Courtney Love that year from Hole, so that might have heightened my already bold nature. We also used to spend every Halloween going to Hallow Weekends at Cedar Point together, and it's one of my goals to get to go to Hallow Weekends again this year. I think it's been close to 10 years since Laura and I went together, and I am dying to relive the experience. So many of my best Halloween memories in my teens, my 20s were with Laura, so I am thrilled that she's now in the Ghoul Gang. I'm sure she can tell the Discord some even wilder Halloween stories if you press her. I also want to give an extra shriek to Kelp Noodles, who signed up annually. Subscribing annually is great for you. It's great for us. It helps us have and know that we have dependable income coming in on the production side, guarantees that you won't miss anything. And then subscribing annually helps you because you get 2 free months of bonus goodies. And it also means you're going to have a front row seat as the podcast grows over this next year. And when you're in the Ghoul Gang, you get to help shape it. So thank you to every single person who has signed up so far. We are $330 away from our second goal of $1,000 a month, which will help me put together an It's Always Halloween website and start hosting live shows. My other aim at this goal is to create more in-depth episodes featuring structured interviews with experts. So if you want to help us get there and ensure It's Always Halloween stays ad-free, independent, and sustainable, please go to patreon.com/itsalwayshalloween or click the link in our show notes. May's theme on Patreon this upcoming month is International Traditions. So to celebrate, we have got some incredible things lined up for you. First of all, our movie parties. We'll be kicking off May's movies on Saturday, May 7th at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time with the movie Mama. We'll be opening it up with the 6-minute Spanish short, and then following it with the feature that Guillermo del Toro produced after he saw the original short. Very cool. All filmmakers' dream is to have someone with money see our shorts and then turn them into features. It's very cool. The first one is a Spanish. The filmmakers are from Spain, so it's a Spanish language film. And then Mama was made in America by Spanish filmmakers. And that's going to be Mother's Day weekend. So that's a fun theme there. And then on May 14th at 6 p.m., we are watching the 1977 psychedelic Japanese classic House. And not only are we watching House, but we are all gathering at Grimturn Nathan's abode here in Southern California. So any of the SoCal lanterns out there are invited to attend, and we're going to have a special screening of House. So more details to come on that. Then we've got Kitchen Witch on May 17th. We will be making Bambrick Irish bread together, which is a Halloween staple. And that's going to be on our Instagram Live. And that recipe will be available on our Patreon if you want to cook it along with us. Or you can watch it on Instagram Live for free, open to all. And then finally, on May 31st, the last Tuesday of the month, it is our monthly book club meeting. And this month, we are reading Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This book was recommended by our lovely Lantern and Ghoul Gang member, Samantha McBride. And if you want to join us for that, pick up your copy of that book wherever good books are sold, hopefully from an independent bookseller. In fact, if you are in the Roanoke, Virginia area, then you must check out Ghoul Gang member Isabel O'Hare and her partner Angelo Colavita's new pop-up bookstore and micro press, which is in Roanoke, Virginia. It's called War on Books. And they are working towards having a brick and mortar store, but at the moment it is pop-up. So it's at different events around the Roanoke area. You can check them out on Instagram. It's just War on Books. And they also have a link tree that will show you different events and the GoFundMe that they're using to raise funds so that they can get a van and have a little mobile library and a mobile bookstore. This is super important right now. As you know, we are going through another phase of political parties interested in book burnings and book bannings. And this is an educational podcast that's concerned with history and research and education. And having all books, having free and available access to all books is very important to me. And there's so much research that I couldn't do if some of the books that I used were banned. Just off the top of my head, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark were on the banned book list for years. So it's definitely something that affects Halloween lovers and will touch the edges of Halloween land. Don't think that we are immune to these types of things. Now I will move on before I get another review accusing me of being a political talking head. But please check out War on Books. You will be supporting a fellow Lantern, Isabel O'Hare, who spent many weeks and months helping me figure out how to put this podcast together back in 2020, and then later how to put a Patreon together. So I would love to turn the tables in a friendly way and help her with this new creative and important cultural endeavor. And if there's any other lanterns out there who work at bookshops or are librarians or doing any of that hard work to get the important materials of education into the hands of our youth or our rural communities or people who don't have access as easily to books as some of us may have. I want to hear from you. And no matter what your occupation is, it's always a good idea to write or call into the show. We want to hear from you. The phone number is 802-532-DEAD. And our email is itsalwayshalloweenpodcast@gmail.com. Share a favorite memory. How about a recipe? Or perhaps you've been haunted recently? We want to hear all of those stories. Plus, my goodness, my gracious. You guys, we're making a zine, a Hallowzine together. And I can't do it without you. I actually need you to do it or there is no zine. So we're making a recipe zine, which means send in your favorite Halloween recipes. It doesn't matter if they came from your family, if you made it up, if it's just something fun on Pinterest that you like to do, send it our way. Give us a little blurb about it. Send a picture if you want. Not important, but please, as much information as you like, send it in to us. We're going to be putting together a fantastic recipe book of all lantern recipes that we hope to have available by August, September of this year so that you can get 31 recipes so you can cook something Halloween-y every single day. We still need more. We're not ready to go yet. But if you are not a cook, you're not a kitchen witch yourself, do you have pictures of yourself trick-or-treating from when you were a kid or pictures of a haunted house, pictures of you doing anything Halloween-y from your childhood? We are putting together a trick-or-treat zine comprised of photos of you celebrating Halloween when you were a kid. Please send those in as well. And again, as much or as little identifying information as you like and a little blurb about what the picture is. And we will have this fantastic album, a perfect keepsake, connecting all of you together and our love for Halloween in pictorial form, taking the podcast out of your ears and putting it into your hands. This is the month to get that information in. We will be assembling in June and July. So May is the magic month for zine materials. So send them into our email, please. Don't DM me or send it on Discord. It's helpful to have it all in one place at itsalwayshalloweenpodcast@gmail.com. Get those in this next month here in May. Oh my gosh, am I excited for May. First of all, I'm already getting tons of recipes and pictures, and they're so much fun to look through. And I just keep fantasizing about how beautiful this project is going to be and how special it is to me. And I also have been working on a film for 4 months, producing a colleague's horror short called Thank You, You're Welcome. It's pretty disturbing. It's much darker than anything that I would write, but that's why I love it. And that's why I'm excited to help this woman get her vision made. She's a professional editor, but she's never made her own film. So it's been really fantastic to mentor her through the process. And I believe deeply in DIY filmmaking and DIY creativity and not letting the system kind of tamp down your natural talent or keep you from pursuing something, and not letting money stop you from pursuing something creative and getting your work out there. So it's been really a great ride, but we've been working on this film for almost 5 months and I am tired, and we are going into production this week and everything just fell into place. I felt like it wasn't going to happen. There was so much work the last couple of weeks, so many late nights, and we're going to start shooting in 2 days. And I could not be more excited. It's one of those things where I'm so excited for the actual shoot. And I'm also so excited for it to be over, because most pre-production in films is emailing and having meetings for months and months and months. And then the actual week of shooting is really creative and really exciting. And it makes you feel so alive that you forget about all of the months of emailing. And then you're like, yeah, let's make another film. And then you're back to emailing, which is just, I love it when you guys email me, because you're always coming at me with these crazy stories or these cute stories, these amazing memories, and you're so funny. And I feel like I'm traveling through this magical past with you. But technical emails where it's like, well, the specs for these lenses that I was thinking if we can't get the insurance here, we should try to go with this other place. It's just, I can't, it kills me. It's not the way that my brain works. You know what it is? I realized what it is. I hate emails, but I love mails. So you know what? Why don't we get on to it? I've got a really fantastic one to kick off the episode. And the subject line of our first one today is Halloween decor memories. Hello, Luce, first-time EEEEKmailer, long-time listener, and recent Ghoul Gang member. Aw, thank you. I haven't been sure what to write in for. Every time I tried to recall what I did for Halloween as a child, my mind went blank for some reason. But recently, I remembered a decor item that is very near and dear to my heart, which in itself brings back a slew of spooky memories. According to my mother, when I was a wee babe, I fell in love with the saddest looking wooden pumpkin. My mother told me I was hanging onto it when we were at a garden center. I think it was a garden center. So they bought it and I've had it ever since. I've never seen another pumpkin like it, and it is my most prized piece of decor. It is a small, slightly squat-looking pumpkin with the saddest little squiggle of a frown. It's precious. It also brings back some scent memories, which are especially nostalgic for me because it smells like our old Halloween decor box. Ah, I love that. The box always had a specific smell, albeit not the greatest smell, but to me, it became synonymous with the images of orange landscapes, trick-or-treating, and my dad wearing his skeleton mask and t-shirt costume that he made to make him look like he was stabbed. A lot of memories are jam-packed into that little guy. Damn. I still put it out every year, and I hope that when I'm old and gray, I can pass it down to my nephew, who also, as a young babe, has loved Halloween and likes to carry around a foam skull from time to time. I've attached the only photo I currently have of it back in my first apartment when it was our sole piece of Halloween decor, but the star of the show. Also, if anyone out there in Halloween land has recommendations for spooky things to do in or near Austin, Texas, either year-round or seasonally, please let me know. I am a gentle Halloween lover, so I don't take too well to haunted houses, but sign me up for a ghost tour or a themed event. Anyways, thank you so much for creating my favorite podcast, and keep up the amazing work. Creepily yours, Kimmy. Kimmy, this is a superstar EEEEKmail. It made me so happy. I want to curl up in it. And I must say, your sad little pumpkin, I just love his face, and it's very reminiscent of like craft fair or like independent, like you said, you had at a garden center, like local garden center, hand painted little pumpkin. And it does look like it has a little tummy ache. Like he's like, oh no, too many seeds. I don't know what pumpkins eat. They're filled with seeds. Too much wax from the candle dripped all over my tummy. He's got such a sad little face. I love him. I can see why you have held on to him for so many years. And I'm just obsessed with the framing of this photo is really funny because it's mostly of like a wall and it looks like that maybe hot water heater closet, and then just the tiniest little pumpkin. And just the fact that you're like, well, it's Halloween, time for my one piece of decor, upset tummy pumpkin. He's so sweet. I love it. And I totally relate to you on the smell of the Halloween box. How have we never talked about this before? It is so specific. So I'm very curious if everybody has a Halloween box smell memory, because I have a lot of stuff that's from my house. Like anytime my mom sends me a box, it smells so good. My mom's a big candle person, and somehow it's like a mix of all the candles in our house create one very like mono smell that just smells like my home. And so whenever she sends me a little care package or like a box of Christmas gifts, as soon as I open the box, it's like, oh my God, home, like wafts out of it. And a few things that I have, some Halloween decorations that used to be family decorations that have been sent to me, they are like still retaining that smell. And I just like treasure it so much. It's something really interesting about the olfactory response, which is our scent response. It's actually like the most delicate of all of our senses, and it's the one that can take us back to the past more clearly than any other sense. So I think that's why certain smells just get us going. Like when we smell crispy leaves, you know, the smell of leaves doesn't really change year to year. So that can immediately just take us back to any fall or any Halloween, or, you know, the scent of rain or the scent of even like lawns being mowed. Very specific times in our lives are connected to these very basic natural smells. So I think it's interesting that boxes of ornaments and decorations can retain something similar to a natural world smell. I'd love to hear more from you guys about your favorite Halloween smells, or if there's any specific smell that'll put you in the mood for autumn. And, you know, we talk about simplicity sometimes on this podcast. And while I think of myself as a maximalist, I'm like a more is more person when it comes to fashion and decor. I'm also a person that doesn't have a lot of money, so I don't go on Code Orange runs, and I don't tend to collect a lot of paraphernalia, but I hold on to things. So I appear to have more because I've just never thrown anything out. So I have a lot of stuff from my childhood that is important to me still. And when you talked about Kimmy having the one piece of decor, I think that that's lovely. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. And I know sometimes people write in, or I talk to you on social media about feeling bad because you can't participate in like shopping sprees, or you only have a couple of decorations and you wish your house was more Halloween-y. But remember that it's all about the spirit that you charge things with. And if you have one perfect sweet wooden pumpkin and you put that up either just around calendar Halloween or you leave it up all year round, that's just as good as a house stuffed to the gills with orange and black material and goodies. And it has nothing to do with like the amount of stuff you fill your life and your house with doesn't have anything to do with your spirit or with your love, your dedication, or your ability to celebrate and feel joy around this very important holiday. So I just wanted to touch on that for a moment, because I think that we sometimes, as a larger society, can gallop over single special items in interest of looking at a lot, because we have access to so many images now and so many different types of things and places that people we can buy from, places we can buy from. You know, the world's our oyster, as Isaac likes to say. We're both vegan. So I really love the idea of just honing in on one special item that really means a lot to you. So this was really sweet and thoughtful, Kimmy. It gave me a laugh and some warm feelings, and I really appreciate you sharing it with us. And we will put your perfect little pumpkin up on our Instagram this week. Let's keep those Halloween memories a-rolling. We have got a fantastic call coming up on the hotline.
Hello, Luce and Luceo Lantern. This is JT. I just spent the last 2 weeks binging the entire show. I thank whatever fate brought me into Videotech that day so that I could meet you and you could introduce me to my new favorite thing. I adore this podcast so much. It has definitely helped me through this slump of COVID times working from home. It's been wonderful. But to call in, I I don't even know where to start. I feel like I have so much that I can share. I'm the person whose motto it is, Halloween isn't a day, it's a state of mind. I have tons of memories and triumphs and mishaps and recommendations. So I guess basically what I'm saying is you will probably hear from me quite a bit. I don't want to cram it all into one call when I can try to spread it out over time. So today I guess I'll just share a little, some memories that I love from Halloween. Let's see. So for me, Halloween, there was always that one weekend in October or maybe a day after school, my mom would pick us up and we would go to Party City. And I remember Party City in October was like, it was lit. That's where it was at. All the costumes and decorations and cheap tchotchkes were out, and my sister and I would just stare at that giant wall of all the Halloween costumes. They have like the pictures of them, not the actual costume. And we would ponder over it for so long, felt like hours, trying to figure out what we wanted it to be. And so we got to pick out the costume. But instead of buying it there, my mom would take a look at it and say, okay, I got it, got a little memory. We would buy, some cheap little plastic toys or pick up things that we need for Halloween decorations. My favorite is the little plastic skeleton. It comes in different colors. I have the orange one where each of its joints is on a little key ring. So it's very dangly, and I still have him to this day. My good luck charm, I named Boney when I was a kid. But we would go from Party City to Joann's. And that's where my mom would get all the fabric, find a pattern. There's almost always a pattern that looks exactly like what you can buy at Party City. And she would make us our Halloween costumes. And I remember that trip to doing those two places back to back was like, oh, it is time for Halloween. But let's see, my favorite Halloween, well, I can't say that. That's hard to say. A Halloween that sticks out for me. I was probably 12 or 13, and it was the first year I decided I was not going to go trick-or-treating. And it had nothing to do with the fact that I was too old for it. I never had time for growing up or anything like that. Instead, that was the year that my mom had bought me a couple of books on how to make your own haunted house. And I'm from Orlando, Florida originally, and so right down the street from Halloween Horror Nights. So even though I didn't go to those when I was a kid, they were much scarier back then than they are now. I was bombarded with the advertisements that I loved. I loved the advertisements. It was very spooky Halloween. So I decided I wanted to make my own haunted house. And my parents let me use the whole garage. I remember I drew like blueprints in a spiral composition notebook or whatever. And we hung all the curtains up to make this little maze. And I found some fun little gags that were in these books, how to make your own haunted house. That I was able to do in their very low budget, do it yourself. Again, I was 12 or 13 when I did this. My favorite gag was this, dummy that we created out of an old suit. You fill with newspapers and he sits in a chair. We named him Fred, and someone would hide behind the chair, hidden under a dark cloth. And his sleeves were empty, and there were little slits in the elbows of the sleeves that someone would put their hands through. So he had real hands. And his head was a mannequin head that I put a mask on, stapled some like twine and stuff underneath to look like veins coming out of the neck, and it sat in a little dish of fake blood that was hidden by the collar of the shirt. So you could have someone run up, grab the head, and pretend to chop it off with a fake knife, and the hands would go flailing, and the person would scream, and it was amazing. I was a very strange 13-year-old that thought that was the greatest thing ever. So that year, I was part of the martial arts demo team, where we would like travel and do performance shows and stuff. They all came over, and they were my characters, if you will, in the haunted house. And yeah, we spent a few hours doing that. People came over and loved it. The woman who was our head instructor at the martial arts school actually came through, and she was someone I looked up to deeply, 4th degree black belt. I thought she was the epitome of a badass. And she was terrified. She screamed a few times. So I thought, like, yes, we did it. We scared, the toughest person I know. And so that was great. And then afterwards, we all went into my living room, ordered pizza, and watched Halloween H2O. And to me, I know it's like I didn't go trick-or-treating, but it's still, I think, one of the greatest Halloweens I ever had, and I was lucky that my parents let me do that. So, yeah, I love the idea, like, was there any fun Halloweens that other lanterns have done that didn't involve the traditional going trick-or-treating? I can't wait to hear the new Witches chapter, and I can't wait to hear more memories, thoughts, and recommendations from fellow lanterns. I should go. I have pumpkin chili cooking in my crock pot because Marco, I believe I'm terrible with names. He's called a few times, said that he makes pumpkin chili on Halloween. And it sounded amazing, and I think that might be my new tradition, so I'm giving it a try today for the first time, and I'm really excited. Thank you for the podcast. Thank you for everything. I can't wait to sign up on Patreon when I get my next paycheck. And I will keep listening. Stay spooky.
Oh, JT, what an epic message. You covered so many fantastic areas. I just loved it. Now, I know you left this message a few months ago, and you are now on the Patreon Ghoul Gang, which we love having your insight there. Thank you so much for joining us every month. Your story about hitting those different stores and how going to Joann Fabrics and how that reminds you of getting your costumes every year. I really related to that and I liked it so much. I've always loved Joann Fabrics, and I'm just now thinking about how it was a big part of Halloween decor shopping when I was a kid. And I loved their advertisements in the newspaper. They either had those little black and white advertisements, or they'd have those glossy coupon smaller slips inside. Do you remember these? Where it would have kids dressed up in costumes, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, yeah, I want to get that vampire costume. And then it'd be like, here's the fabric. They weren't selling the costumes. They were an idea of what you could do. But it always caught my attention and got my creativity going. And I think it's so cool that you were in a family where you got to go and get it handmade every year. We definitely were a handmade costume family as well. And my mom did do some sewing, but it was half sewing, half Goodwill, half hand-me-downs. It was sort of a amalgamation every year. What could we find? What could we patch together? And I loved that too. But it is very cool that you were yes, whip this up from scratch. I really admire that your family could do that. I would love to see pictures, by the way. So if you have any of these handmade Joann Fabrics inspired costumes, please send them over. We can put them in our zine. Okay, I'm also very curious about your throwaway line about Halloween Horror Nights being scarier when we were younger. I did not know about this. As someone who grew up in Ohio, I constantly got advertisements for Universal Studios Orlando because that is where Ohio kids went on vacation to Florida. And we had gone to Disney World twice, once when I was 3 and then once when I was 13. But we never went to Universal Studios, and that was the one I wanted to do the most because I was obsessed with movies, and all the commercials made it look so fun, just like what you said. But I didn't know about Halloween Horror Nights until I moved to LA 10 years ago. So I still think Halloween Horror Nights is pretty scary. It definitely follows a rhythm, and you kind of know when certain scares are coming. But I'm very curious about this more terrifying year and art that they used to do. So please tell us more about that. And I think it is so cool that Universal inspired you to make your own haunted house. You are so creative. And the fact that you made blueprints, I was listening to that and I just went, oh my God, little JT whipping up blueprints. It's so sweet. And the real hands on the mannequin, brilliant, absolutely twisted. I love that you came up with that idea. And how cool is it that you scared your hero? That the person who inspired you as a kid, that you freaked them out, this tough person. I think that is so cool. These were such fantastic stories. I would love to hear, like you asked, I'd love to hear some non-traditional Halloween things, ways that people celebrated that maybe we haven't talked about before, of course, please send those in. And please, I mean, handmade haunted houses, I think, are really just like, cream of the crop for Halloween experiences in my book. I love that it's a big thing in Los Angeles. And if this isn't a thing that happens other places, like lanterns, that is on you. Let's start making home haunts big across the country. Let's have a network of It's Always Halloween inspired haunted houses. Like Josh was talking about in our Hallowzines episode, we could also make our own little Halloween museum walkthroughs, like pop-up Halloween museums for people who don't want to be scared, but want to have like a Halloween walkthrough experience still. I think there's so many ways that we could enhance trick or treat. You know, we always talk about how we're like, oh no, like there's a panic around if trick or treat is going downhill. But I really think there's a lot of options to like pull it back, to breathe some more life into it. And I think all of us, I mean, there's thousands of people listening to this podcast, and I think that we have the power, that we can turn trick or treat into this incredible thing, that we can all be little JTs scribbling out blueprints, putting together mannequins with real hands and chopping their heads off. There's a lot of really, you guys are ingenious out there. I think we got to get that little kid spirit back, you know, and put things together with our friends and our families, really building up that scare community. That's what Halloween is all about. Okay, guys, I have a really fun little EEEEKmail here from Savannah with the subject line, Holiday Spirit. And it reads, "Hello, I just wanted to share that I was listening to your latest episode when I opened up a fortune cookie from my takeout order, and I thought the fortune was very fitting. Thanks, Savannah." And there's this fantastic little picture of the fortune cookie broken open, and they're holding the fortune up, and it says, "Keep the holiday spirit all year round." I mean, talk about fortuitous. This is just lovely. I hope you kept that, Savannah. You got to draw little bats on it or little orange and black hearts. I mean, this is such a beautiful, coincidental moment. And this, I don't know, for me, little stuff like this is what makes life worth living every day. Like just when stuff lines up in this like adorable way. Oh, thank you. I can get through another day. I'm going to put that picture up on the Instagram too. It just really warms my little heart. Thank you for sharing that with me. Very sweet. See, every EEEEKmail doesn't have to be a long thing. It can just be cute and small because I really like that too. And I know you guys are going to get a kick out of this picture when you see it. And finally, I wanted to read a little something from Lighthouse Ghost on our Patreon Discord. They wrote, "Some of you might have attended the Museo exhibit on the legend of Sleepy Hollow. The curator made the catalog from the exhibit available. I was able to order one recently. It's beautiful. So many essays and art. A perfect addition to any Sleepy Hollow collection." And then they link to the exhibit. And I briefly remember talking about this. And I want to say that Ghoul Gang members Mindy and Amy went to this exhibit. And I feel like a couple of more people did too, because it was here in Southern California. I didn't get to go, but I'm looking through the pictures that Lighthouse Ghost shared, and I'm just very envious. And I went to see, because I was like, oh wait, I want to order this too. I was reading about the curator of the exhibit, and he's incredible. His name is Clark Silva. And after receiving his bachelor's in illustration from California State University, Fullerton, he got his master's in art history and museum studies. And his focus is not only on museology, including archive and exhibition design, but also visual culture, specifically holidays and festivals, folktales, mythology, video games, heavy metal music, and LGBT art and representation, which that is so many things, but many of those are things that are very important to us here on the podcast. And he goes on to say, I have always loved Halloween, and the legend of Sleepy Hollow has been an intrinsic part of the celebration for me. As a contemporary symbol of the holiday in America, I wanted to analyze the history of the story and how a tale written years before Halloween arrived in the United States became synonymous with it. This exhibition, Legend 200 Years of Sleepy Hollow, seeks to trace the evolution of the legend in popular culture from bucolic folktale to Halloween harbinger. Which, this description just touched my heart so much, and I'm like, wait, Clark Silva is a lantern. He might not know it yet, but we gotta get this guy in the fold. He's doing what we care about, examining folktale and culture and holidays and festivals. So it is my mission to befriend this person. You can make that your mission too. He's on Instagram at Art of Clark Silva, and it's SILVA. And Lighthouse Ghost goes on to say that on the legend200sleepyhollow.com website, you can fill out a subscription request. And they said 4 to 5 weeks later, they got an email where he asked if they were still interested in the catalog. They said yes. And they basically just did like a private PayPal exchange, which is awesome. So I love that he got his catalog made and now is, you don't make a lot of money as a, art exhibitor necessarily. So I think it's really cool that this person who cares so much about the stuff that we care about was able to do this really special exhibit. And now he has this neat little catalog, and you can see all of the art that was on display and support other artists as well. So I'm going to link all of that for you guys in the show notes. And check it out. See if you're interested. We'll put some pictures up on the Instagram as well. And I just want to thank Lighthouse Ghost for sharing all of that. And if you're fascinated by that, that's the kind of cool stuff that's happening on our Discord. I can't even keep up with it. Every day people share so many fascinating links about what they're reading, what they're listening to, funny memes that they saw, cool artists, companies dropping new items, like all kinds of talented artists who are Ghoul Gang members showing off the costumes that they made and the jack-o'-lanterns that they carved. It's just like endless Halloween is happening on the Discord. So if you want to be a little deeper into our community, you can sign up for $3 a month on our Patreon, and you have access to the Discord. That also gets you Kitchen Witch recipe access monthly and more fun goodies on Patreon as well. So I did want to make an announcement that I forgot to make in the beginning, which is this month, Ghost Stories got pushed back. So if you are at the Ghost Story level, thank you for waiting. I'm sorry I'm behind this month. You're going to get 4 in May instead. So those are coming up. Hold on to your butts. And remember, if you want to sign up, you can just go to patreon.com/itsalwayshalloween. That link is also in our show notes, where you can also find the link to sign up for our free local lantern society and be connected with other lanterns in your area, that you can go to fun events like Legend of Sleepy Hollow, or you can make a haunted house together, or you can go on a non-scary ghost tour with Kimmy in Austin, Texas. All kinds of activities are right at your fingertips when you sign up for the local Lantern Society. We want to make sure that we get people matched up before we're 100 days till Halloween, because all of us insiders know that once you hit 100 days to Halloween, the roller coaster is rolling. Is rolling? Is that a phrase that people say? Let's try it out. So all the links you could ever need are in the show notes. Patreon, Instagram, our local Lantern Society, our Redbubble if you want to buy It's Always Halloween merch. And if you want to make a one-time donation, you can even have an episode sponsored in your name. All of that's in the show notes. Just click and read and learn and enjoy. Don't forget to call or write in with your Halloween memories, recommendations, or queries. The All Hallows Hotline is 802-532-DEAD, and that EEEEKmail address is itsalwayshalloweenpodcast@gmail.com. It's Always Halloween is researched, written, and performed by me, Luce Tomlin-Brenner, with some very important help from our lanterns. Thank you so much to Kimmy, to JT, to Savannah, and to Lighthouse Ghost for contributing to today's episode. The editing, theme music, and sound design is by the marvelous Pete Burns. Thanks, Pete. You can follow the show on Instagram at It's Always Halloween Podcast. You can follow me on all platforms at LTB Comedy, and Pete on all platforms at Mittenberries. If you're on Apple Podcasts, please subscribe and write us a little review so that other like-minded ghouls can find us. We have a new sweet review today from Cult Film Fan. Hey, that's a handle I can relate to. It says, well-researched and good spooky fun. This podcast is low-key and lighthearted, but still informative on all things spooky, creepy, and celebratory of the best holiday ever, Halloween. A fun way to pass the time until the season is again upon us. Lovely Cult Film Fan, thank you. That's a huge help, and that helps boost us up in the Apple algorithm and gets more eyes on this podcast. And when people are searching through, they're like, oh, what is this? This looks legit. All of these real reviews. So writing us a review is something free and easy you can do to help us look a little more legit to brand new ghouls out there. And you know what? If you're listening on NPR One, you know what you can do to help us out? Tell Lyra Glass that you love us. Thank you so very much for listening to yet another episode of It's Always Halloween. And please, come back next time, unless you just get mesmerized by the smell of old Halloween boxes and you can't stop sniffing.